Hello everyone and welcome along to round number 2 of the Inside Line Racing League season here on F1 2019. I'm Ginger Andy and once again joining me in the commentary box here in Bahrain we have Diablo. We both missed the first race but we're all both ready to get ready for the second race of the season and it should be a cracker. It always is in Bahrain, James.
Absolutely, and what a fantastic bit of graphic work we've got going on for this game around this specific racetrack. I'm glad to be back as well. It's probably the biggest and most important thing. Missed out in Australia, but I'm really looking forward to this. Bahrain, as you said, Andy, plenty of great races we've had here in the past, and well, third season of ILR on Xbox now, which is kind of crazy, but third or fourth? Can't remember, but the point stands. It's going to be an amazing rest of the season. Hopefully we won't miss another race, but we can't promise anything. Let's see how this qualifying unfolds.
Absolutely, fourth season if I count correctly, which is incredible. I think we did one on F1 2017, two on 2018, and of course now with the game coming out a month ago, the first season on F1 2019. And here in qualifying, we'll be looking to see who can come out on top in the early stages of the season. Veloci surprise, he won last time out in a rather damp Australian Grand Prix, but there was a big shock on pole position. TRL Limitless, who if you remember at the start of F1 2018 found himself struggling in qualifying trim, but slowly as the game progressed improved in qualifying, and we're now at the point on F1 2019 where he banged in the pole lap last week, which you know, when I watched the stream back, gave us a bit of a surprise, James, didn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. It was, as you said, Andy, it's not one of his stronger points, or it definitely wasn't last game. He did take a couple of pole positions, but he took a very long time to get that race win in ILR, which a lot of people were more surprised about. He had a couple of poles here and there, but it was converting them. And one occasion that he did win in ILR for the first time, he didn't actually start on pole. Anyway, he was on pole in Australia and he couldn't really capitalise on it, unfortunately. He had a bit of contact into turn 3 at Australia, which is never ideal on the opening lap. But interesting to see how he gets on today. He'll definitely be a big factor in this qualifying session.
Absolutely. Well, Visira is the first man to go across the line and he has gone with a 1 minute 28.247, and that is on the hard compound of tyres. Now, remember folks, it's all changed from F1 2019. We don't have ultra soft, super soft, soft. We don't have all these different types of compound. It is very, very simple. You have got the soft tyre, the medium tyre and the hard tyre, and that is it every single race weekend. The soft, that will be the red tyre wall, the medium will be the yellow tyre wall, and the white will be the hard compound tyre. And James, that makes our job in the commentary box a little bit easier, doesn't it?
It does make it a little bit easier, but people can't be distracted from the fact that actually these tyres are quite similar to last year in the case of the actual nature of the tyre itself. So although they're soft, medium, hard, technically speaking, last season they would still be classed as an ultra soft or maybe a soft or a, you know, or a hyper soft. There's so many different variations of tyres last season. I'm kind of glad we have this more basic route of 3 sets of tyres. No one's going to get confused. And no one ever brings up the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 compounded tyres because, to be honest, Andy, no one cares a particular amount. So let's just stick with the soft, medium and hard and hope that we can get a head round it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's too many problems getting our head round the new setup, but I totally agree. Couldn't give a toss about C3, C4, C5. I chucked algebra at school a long time ago and I'm going to keep it that way, it has to be said. But Veloci surprise is out there on the racetrack. The race winner last time out, former champion in this series as well. Took the time out last season and that allowed Leopard to get his hand on the crown. The surprise makes his way down at that hairpin and now along the back straight, which runs parallel to the main straight, the pit straight, as he makes his way down to the braking zone. And look at that, throwing the car into the left-hander. I think he's actually backed out of this current effort. I surprised he makes his way up the hill. What's he going to be doing through the middle sector? I think it's a slow middle sector, I'm not too sure. But at the moment it is P1 up round on top on the hard compound tyre with a 1 minute 27.986, just a fraction quicker than OMG's Joe. We've got to give a big shout out to P1 up round. He did a great job, didn't he, last week getting onto the podium, James?
Yeah, brilliant drive. He actually beat OMG's Joe on that occasion as well. So I definitely think he's got a point to prove. Surprise does go fastest of all, 27.8, and that was no backing off lap. It's just the nature of the way that they use these cars just really quickly. Basically, they seem like they short shift everywhere, but that's just the way that the engines kind of work on this game. Last year, you'd hear the cars dragging it off the rev limiter. This year, is slightly different. They're a lot more lenient on the way that they change gear, a lot more smooth on their inputs as well. But yeah, as you said about Brown, terrific result. Really was a terrific result, and I'm sure he'll get many more podiums this season. But there are plenty of drivers who can challenge him this year as well. So I think we may have more podium finishes than what we did last season, which I believe ended at around 12. We had 12 different podium finishes last season.
Okay, I've just had a quick shout from Ghosh. I'm going to turn down my F1 game audio a fraction. Sorry, folks, I'm just going to have to jump onto this. He's told me my game's a little bit too loud. I've literally just downloaded the game, so I think, tell me if that improves things a little bit, folks, if you're watching on the stream. I've just downloaded the game, and I've literally just jumped on, not touched the settings. But there you go. Hopefully that improves things a little bit for you guys watching, as I keep an eye on TRL Limitless, currently P6 at the moment with that 1 minute 28.2, but it is very close, James, in the top 6 or 7 places, isn't it? Just around 3 or 4 tenths, covering all those drivers. Just what we want to see in this top tier, isn't it?
Absolutely it is, and it's going to be more and more interesting, I think, as this session progresses. All these guys coming on hard tyres. I would expect them all to qualify on the mediums, the yellow wall tyre, if we're really struggling here, the yellow wall tyre, the mediums, and yeah, that's what I expect. Very similar to last year in the strategy case as well. I would expect a one-stop medium to hard. Could try and risk a 2 and hit on a set of soft tyres, but I don't know. It's one of those, again, where we're really looking at it here, and actually Verstappen has gone off down at... That's a very peculiar place to go off, actually. He's lost it coming through. That is turn 11 and 12 he's gone off there. It's quite odd, but nonetheless, the Williams carries on and soldiers on. He didn't have the best qualifying last time out, did War Verstappen in Australia. I'm pretty sure it was towards the back of the field. Quote me if I'm wrong. But yeah, there's a couple of weird things. I was actually speaking to Andy beforehand. There's a weird stat that's just lived and hung over ILR now for, well, as long as we've been on Xbox, and that is every champion every driver that we've had as a champion has not gone on to defend their title in the following season. Something crazy. It's weird, but that is how it is. You remember the first season, Danny won the championship. Second season, he didn't race. Second season, Veloce Surprise won the championship. He didn't take part in season 3. Leopard won the championship in season 3. He isn't competing in season 4. So there you go. Nice little stat to kick us off. But no driver has defended their crown in ILR thus far. Maybe, well, we're not going to see that change again this year either. No one's going to be defending their championship.
So everyone's doing a Nico Rosberg, is that what we're saying every single season?
Pretty much.
So win a championship, do a Rosberg. Well, there you go. Whoever wins this championship, expect them to do a Rosberg at the end of the season and leave ILR for one season. But this is Kyle Mitchell. Let's keep an eye on him in the McLaren as he starts his latest flying lap, around 4 tenths away from pole position at the moment in the McLaren as he makes his way up the hill towards the end of that first sector. Sweeping down the hill he goes now, left, then right, left again, before making his way down into the first of 2 tricky braking zones, James. This one downhill, slightly easier I would say than the next one, because down into turns 9 and 10, it really is easy to lock up that left front, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's sort of the rear locking in a lot of these corners as well, going downhill and braking and sort of turning whilst you're braking as well. There's a certain technique, I can't remember the correct terminology to use there, but it's almost trail braking, I suppose, going into there, most of these corners. Really difficult is turn 11 the corner he's just gone through. You've got to sort of nail the apex on the inside. You do not want to be running too wide there. Do not touch the inside curb of that long right-hander. You will get spat off into some Bahrain desert, and that's not where you want to be. As he comes now towards the final corner of the lap.
Yep, here comes Kyle Mitchell then. 7.5 minutes to go roughly in this session. Currently P7, a huge bit of oversteer there coming out of that corner, and he's going to bail out of this latest attempt to come into the pits. Pretty scrappy all round from Kyle Mitchell, and he makes his way into the pit lane. So Kyle Mitchell brings his lap to a close and makes his way into the pit. So let's keep an eye on other drivers out on the racetrack. Has Surprise or P1R Brown ventured out onto the track? P1R Brown has. TRL Limitless likewise. Who's furthest round the racetrack? P1R Brown looks to be. So the man who impressed with the podium last time out looks to be doing the same here again at this stage of qualifying. Less than a tenth away from Veloce Surprise in P2. So is this the season where P1R Brown makes a major breakthrough in league racing across the board and really starts to become a front runner? Let's find out as the Williams driver comes across the line to start his latest flying lap. Is he going to have the pace in the car to go quickest of all? He is again out there on the hard compound tyre, so let's keep an eye and see what he can do as he makes his way through turn 1, and I think, has he backed out?
Yeah.
Backed out. I think he was a little bit too deep into that first corner, wasn't he, James?
Yeah, far too deep into there. That's another very, very tricky corner. Coming straight off the DRS, straight off the accelerator onto the brake pedal. You're braking just after the 150 metre board there, but you have to hit the apex on turn 1. Or not hit it, but clip it. You don't hit it at all, but it's just to straighten your run out through turn 2 and turn 3, and up towards turn 4. Of course, on this particular game, we actually have a DRS zone between turn 3 and turn 4, so that small little straight you've got there, now a DRS zone, so 3 DRS zones around this Bahrain racetrack, and there's another. Tiro Limitless is on a lap and looks like he actually had a bit of tow from his teammate Sarah Rosberg. Actually saw this watching qualifying last week in Australia.
Yeah.
Did do this, and Limitless then coming through the first few corner, the first end of the first sector, I should say, and downhill into what's that very difficult right-hand hairpin. Let's see what he can do. 6th at the moment, ahead of Rosberg in 7th place.
Yeah, good to see the two teammates working together. Whether it was intentional or not, I'm not too sure. But TRL Limitless, 3 tenths away from pole at the moment. And, you know, it's great to see at the start of a new game, the field's so tight, James. The top 13, 7.5 tenths between them. And every little bit of advantage you can gain is really, really important. And TRL Limitless and Sierra Rosberg working together as a team. How's Limitless doing through the second sector? He's a fraction up on his previous best. It might not be enough to move him up the order, though. Here comes Limitless down that back straight towards the final corner. It's actually 2 corners officially, but I mean, you'll see for yourself as we go on board, it really is only 1. Dropping down into 3rd gear, 78 miles an hour through the exit, running right out into the car, but Limitless decides that was not enough, and he's going to bail out, come into the pits, and I would suspect, James, we're going to start seeing drivers going out on a different type of tyre. Yes, we are. A lot of drivers on the medium tyre, and BRL João Pedro has just made his way out of the pits. We've got an all-Brazilian lineup down at Alfa Romeo, and it's nice to see that not only the Europeans in ILR, but a few of the Brazilians deciding to join as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, love a bit of South American vibe in this league. Exactly what league racing needs is a few guys like them. And João Pedro is one of those drivers that on occasions last season really did show that he has great pace at times, but never could really cement it and solidify it. I think this year it's got to be a year when he's got to look at that and go, well, hang on, I've got good pace around some circuits, but I need to sort of balance out with some good points finishes throughout the season. This is the best league to do it in, and I have no doubt about that. And he's got a great teammate in Sierra as well. I'm sure those two will be working pretty hard together to get the job done. But at the moment, he's actually out qualifying his teammate, João Pedro, who's 3rd. Sierra is currently 5th. But we will soon see how representative that is, of course, because everyone's going out on medium tyres.
Yep, absolutely. So here comes João Pedro. And as you were speaking there of João Pedro, I remember well that his debut, I think it was in Monza, was a real example of what he was capable of on that day. And ever since then, he's not really hit the same heights. So let's see what he can do. 3rd at the moment, albeit everyone on the hard tyre. So let's see what he can do now that they've switched to the medium tyres, and see if he can deliver the lap time he needs as he comes out of the final corner and starts the flying lap. 3 minutes to go until the checkered flag. So if he does make a mess of this one, he should be able to get round and go once again. So down into that first corner goes João Pedro and makes his way through turns 2 and 3, and then climbing up the hill. Let's see what he's looking like through that first sector. As you mentioned, James, 3 DRS zones, and I had been looking at what some of the drivers have been saying, and WOR Verstappen was actually tweeting, saying he was feeling confident about this race, but he was also saying that he feels that the DRS is just that little bit overpowered. We'll see how it works out during the race as João Pedro makes his way down the hill into that tricky braking zone, locking up that right front.
Yeah, it will be overpowered. It just will be, because this is the nature of this circuit. In fact, last game was quite similar to that as well. Bahrain just tends to have that DRS sort of thing where it's going to be more and more powerful, and adding another DRS zone in there, it's going to make it even more powerful. So yeah, expect a lot of overtaking this race. As he comes down in towards turn 11, really deep there on the brake pedal, and flying through these S's section. Do not touch, I say, do not touch that curb on the inside. You can clip it ever so slightly, but don't touch it, you will spin. And now the penultimate couple of corners follows for João Pedro. Where's he going to put this Alfa Romeo?
He should go quickest of all. He's 5.5 tenths up than anyone out there at the moment, and that is because it's the first lap we're going to see on the medium compound. Remember, the rest of the field up to this point have done laps on the hard. So here comes João Pedro. This is the target they're aiming for. It's a 27.4. He lost a bit of time in that final sector, but let's see who is on a lap behind him, chasing hard. Sira's out there, but I think he's backed out, has he? Yes, Sira has backed out on those medium tyres. So who else? I'm pretty sure I've seen a few other cars near the end of a lap. OMG, it's Joe maybe? No, it wasn't. P1R Brown's 3/10 up on his previous best. Veloci surprise. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, there's plenty of Brown.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, there is a few cars in the final sector of that. We've got Carl Mitchell and Cyril Rosberg really close together. Rosberg's going to get a tow then on the McLaren down this penultimate straight, so this will be quite crucial for his lap. Rosberg could fire himself up the leaderboard here. Both on outlaps, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's keep an eye on Feisty Ted, who's just behind them. James, I think he is on a quick one. Jason now goes second quickest. He's a tenth and a bit shy of the time from João Pedro. So here comes Feisty Ted round the final corner. Joe now, it goes quickest of all, 1:27.2. So he now goes fastest. Feisty Ted goes third quickest. Look how tight it is here between the top three cars. We're waiting on Veloci surprise. There's a full 8.5 tenths up on his previous best. Is the championship leader and race winner from the opening round, about to go quickest of all and blow them all away. Up to the line goes surprise. Oh, nearly by half a second. 1:26.8. He's destroyed them. What a time that is.
Here comes Limitless to the line.
Limitless to the line. He's second. He's second, but he's still a long, long, long way away from the time from Veloci surprise. It's also tight in behind him, but no one can get anywhere near that effort. Reynolds goes 8. Sira's out there going quicker than his previous best. He's 6 tenths up, but surely that's not going to be anywhere near enough to trouble the time of Veloci surprise as he makes his way towards the end of the lap, James.
Yeah, there's a few guys who actually might do a second run here on the final attempt in qualifying. So the likes of Joe, who are actually going through the middle sector now. You've still got, like, as you say, Sarah, coming up towards the line then. 4 Alfa Romeo, can he get anywhere near the front? Yes, he can. That's a brilliant lap. Moves himself into second place. Joe is the next car to watch. He's coming into the final corner now.
Here comes Joe then, he's gained a further tenth of a second. This might be enough to put him on the front row. It appears there is life in these medium tyres for a second lap. A little bit scruffy coming out of the final corner. OMG, Joe, as Kyle goes second. Joe goes fourth. 4 tenths away, still no one able to match the time of Veloci surprise. Is there anyone still out there pushing on a lap? I do not think so. I think that's it. And that means to say that Veloci surprise, by the looks of it, hold on, WR Verstappen's out there, he's going quicker, but I would think that that should be that. Veloci surprise should have P1, but we'll keep an eye on Verstappen as he comes up to the final corner. Can he try and at least out-qualify his Williams teammate, P1R Brown, who's 6th quickest at the moment? That's got to be the target. Here comes Verstappen, up to the line. Where's it going to put him? He does! He does, by a fraction, beats his teammate Williams, 6th and 7th. But that is that. Veloci surprise. He only needed 1 run. Some of his rivals needed 2. And the championship leader, the former champion, looks to be in ominous form here in Bahrain. What a lap.
That honestly was a fantastic lap, wasn't it? Being pretty much half a second before everyone's second runs. That is crazy quick from Veloci surprise. And he will never say that he nailed that lap, but I am sure he nailed that lap, because there is no way in a field like this you can pull out a gap like that on the others. But Carl Mitchell, we've got to give some plaudits to, because that is a brilliant performance really, to come P2 just a tenth away, or a tenth and a half away from Veloci surprise, and the day where surprise was pretty much on it. He was all over qualifying. Very good performance from the McLaren. Yeah,
great lap from Kyle Mitchell, and he actually only did that with 1 run as well. His first attempt, the first lap that we almost called as a lap, was an out lap. So good effort there from Kyle Mitchell, but I have to look down in 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Look how tight that is, all within a tenth, like 900ths of a second between 4 cars. That is just astonishing. But it is Veloci surprise on top with Kyle Mitchell in second. Sira puts that car, the Alfa Romeo, in third, the top Brazilian today. OMG, it's Joe. He's 4th for Mercedes with TRL Limitless qualifying in 5th. No pole for him this afternoon. Then it was tight between the Williams. It went right to the wire, but it was Verstappen that got ahead of P1R Brown, who's only 7th. CRG Murso, solid effort in 8th. BRL João Pedro was 9th. And Feisty Ted rounds out the top 10. Only 6 tenths, James, between the top 10 drivers. Incredible.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And, well, you've got Cyril Rosberg actually starting in 11th place. Just a quick one on him. He finished on the podium last season. He started 11th on the grid. I'm not going to put any questions or any sort of mindsets into people's heads here, but it could happen. He's got good pace at times, as Sarah Rosberg, so it'll be an interesting one. Another quick one, the two Haas cars were 13th and 14th on the grid. They were separated by 0.001 of a second, 1,000th of a second between the two Haas cars. Brilliant stuff.
Wow, that is incredible. I mean, that is so close. I mean, it doesn't get much tighter than that. And the two Haas drivers keeping each other evenly matched then here today, just like the two Williams guys, 6th and 7th stuck together in the grid, and the same for the two Haas drivers. But here we are, Bahrain, ready for round number 2 of the championship. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, James, it really is a picturesque setting. Cody's, I've got to hold my hat up to them. They've done a fantastic job with the lighting and things like that around the circuit, because it just looks so clean, so tidy, so realistic.
Yeah, it looks stunning, doesn't it? It really does. The matte paint finishes on some of the cars, though, the Ferrari, the Red Bull, doesn't make it look particularly pleasing, or brilliant for them. But for the other cars, the Mercedes, the McLarens, your Alfa Romeos, they look brilliant. Sat there, especially on the front row of the grid, dare I say as well. But we get underway for the obligatory formation lap ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, and everyone inside the top 10 has to start on the tyres they qualified on, and that, of course, was the medium tyre. CRL Rosberg, fresh tyres, medium. Jason, 12, medium. TSR Bastek and Jam Pancakes evenly matched, as you said. It's mediums for Bastek. They're going to switch it up. They're going to go with the hard compound tyre for Jam Pancakes. Reynolds has gone for the medium. Zelchi gone for medium. João Paulo, the only man in the field, going for the soft compound tyre. And MVP Zero starts at the very back on the medium. So quite an interesting mixture of strategies this afternoon. But the top 10, James, what kind of tyre are we expecting them to go on to, and when are we expecting them to make that change?
Hard tyre, I would expect midway through the race. I'd say around lap 12, lap 30-ish, maybe. I could be wrong when saying that, but I reckon that's probably the sort of distance these guys are going to go on those tyres. As for João Paulo in 17th place for Toro Rosso, he's on the softs. If he does race, which doesn't at the moment look overly likely, he's a ghost at the moment, but he will be doing a 2-stop. There is no way you'll do a 1-stop from softs to hards, and if you did, you'd be a very, very good driver on your tyres, I'm sure. But yes, I'm sure he'll be doing the 2-stop. Everyone else, a 1-stop, pretty much nailed on for them as they come round to the grid.
Yeah, not the perfect afternoon, or evening I should say, for the two Toro Rosso drivers. 17th and 18th, they're lining up at the rear of the grid, and that is, should João Paulo even make the race. We'll have to wait and see, as Veloci Surprise at the head of the field makes his way around the final corner and gets ready to line up on the grid. He's got Kyle Mitchell and Sira lining right up behind him. Would you have expected to see Kyle Mitchell alongside? Probably not. I think he would have, to be fair, I would probably have thought maybe he'd have been expecting Joe or Sira or Limitless, something like that. But great effort from Kyle Mitchell. What can he follow it up with in the race? I'm looking forward to this one as we get ready for the start here in Bahrain. We mentioned it already, the DRS can create some incredible action, some wacky racing, can surprise, try and break that DRS early on as the cars line up on the grid. Me and James, first time in the commentary box this season on F1 2019. Boy, we are looking forward to it. It's the second round of the season. The 5 red lights are coming on, and the first night race of the season, the first night race in F1 2019 is underway as Veloci Surprise moves away from pole position. It's a fantastic start as well. Not so from Kyle Mitchell. He's under pressure from Sira going down towards turn 1. Surprise leads the way, and there's bumping and bumping through that first corner between Kyle and Sira. That gives Veloci Surprise the perfect jump. He's already a second clear as they make their way up the hill. And it's still Surprise, then Sira, then Kyle Mitchell. Limitless making some ground. He's alongside OMG, it's Joe in the battle for 4th and 5th. Limitless trying to go round the long way. He's going to get squeezed out there, but he's still holding firm as they sweep down the hill. Is he ahead? Yes, he is. Great, determined driving from Limitless, and he moves up to P4. Mercer's up to P6. A lot of big movers in the field early on, James.
Absolutely, some really aggressive starts though. The Mercedes of Joe is one of them. Tried to throw it down the inside with Carl Mitchell into turn 1. They were 3 wide into the first corner, as you'd expected on the opening lap. And he tapped the rear end of the McLaren, and there's more carnage going on behind as well. There's one of the Williams involved. That looks like it's P1 Brown falling down the field here.
Yeah, P1 Brown. I've just seen his car going off the track. They're not too sure exactly what the reason for it was. It looked quite tight down there. There's a few cars bumping into one another at the start of this race, but things have gone so well for Veloci Surprise. He's already got the second advantage that he needed, would you believe, as we go on board with Jason down in P10 at the moment in the middle of the field. At the start of this race, let's have a look at the position change at the start of this race. What have we got? The biggest gainers. We've got CRL Rosberg up 3. He always seems to get a good start. We've got EVR Reynolds and Zelchi both up 3 places as well. P1 Brown, the big loser, we saw him off the road. He's down 8 places at the start as CRG Merceau looks at Verstappen. Is he going to have a look into turn 1? He thinks about it, puts his nose up the inside, then thinks better of it. We've got more battling going on down the field. Further at the back, we've got MVP Zero making a move on Jam Pancakes for position. Side by side they go. That's down in 16th place, and through goes MVP Zero and relegates the Haas driver back down to P17 as Merceau and Rosberg are battling again. Whoa!
That's proper argy-bargy stuff between those two. Nearly ended in a Vettel spin for Sergi Morso in the Ferrari. And here comes João Pedro, who's going to try and capitalise on that. Can't quite do it yet in the Alfa Romeo. Will bide his time behind the Italian counterpart of the Ferrari. Let's see how those two races play out. But, well, Velocious Price is pulling away at the moment, isn't he? He's just walking away with a race lead of 1.2 seconds after just 2 laps of this Grand Prix. Sierra has to get on it in that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, well, they were all putting the back foot, the guys behind him, because they were all too busy fighting one another into the first corner. Kyle Mitchell did not get off the grid the way he would have liked, and that created Joe and Sierra on his case. Joe, as you mentioned, too hot, Limitless saw the chance and took it and moved up into 4th position in this race. As we keep an eye on João Pedro, he's currently in 9th position at the moment. Where are the closest battles in the field? Let's keep an eye on Rosberg, who's now up 4 places and really is going about his business in a quick fashion. He's just making his way past cars very, very quickly as he comes round the final corner. New fastest lap from Verlocci Surprise, a 1:31.097 as CRL Rosberg sees about attacking that Williams. Verstappen needs to defend the inside. Coming back for more though, Rosberg switching back to the inside, and he's going to go up the inside, going wide there, Verstappen, but he should still hold the place as they begin to climb the hill. And is DRS active now? Yes, it is. And Sierra Rosberg will open that flap in the rear wing. He'll try and pull alongside. Is he going to get through in the brakes? Looks like it. Side by side they go, and he squeezes Verstappen out onto the curb, and he should be through. No, he's not. Verstappen still there, but finally he has to concede. Rosberg edges ahead and moves up into 6th place, and that's 5 places gained, James. What a start.
Yeah, a great start. I called him up before the race and I said, well, he did get a podium here last season, and he's proving his worth around Bahrain. 6th at the moment for Rosberg. Definitely got more pace than we care to believe in that racing point, and we must call it a racing point this year as well. Limitless is just sitting just ahead of MGS Joe at the moment, his teammate. Just about half a second between those two, but Limitless has got DRS with Kyle Mitchell sat in front of him. 1.1 seconds between the two leaders. It's not really creeping under that 1 second margin. The margin in the favour of the Brazilian Sierra.
Yeah, well, CRL Rosberg has now got 1.8 seconds to make up to get onto the tail of OMGH Joe, so that's actually created a little bit of a group here. We could say Rosberg, Verstappen, Merceau, João Pedro, all within close proximity of one another. So quite a nice little scrap going on here for the top 6. Let's keep an eye on board with CRG Merceau coming out at the final corner. Is there going to be any moves going across the start-finish line? Rosberg moving across to the pit lane to try and break that toe. Verstappen following him across, as does Merceau and João Pedro. But there's no moves going down in towards turn 1, James, and it's as they were.
Absolutely, and Verstappen's holding his own here at the moment in 7th place. He did seem to be the cook in the champagne bottle, but he was keeping ahead, or keeping with just Joe in the Mercedes for the first few laps. So I'll give him, give him a bit of credit. He's had a pretty good start, you could say, for Verstappen, but he is finding himself in the clutches of some pretty experienced runners here with Morso and João Pedro not too far behind him. Let's see how Verstappen can play out this race.
Yeah, quite a little squabble developing. Let's keep an eye on CRL Rosberg. I mean, as we've mentioned, he's very quickly found his way overtaking these cars, but we know how tough it is to break that DRS zone, or DRS train, if you want to call it. So 1.9 to OMGH Joe. Has he got the pace to get onto the back of those guys? We'll have to wait and see. It will be a tall order, there's no doubt about that, because I have to also mention OMGH Joe looking pretty feisty now behind TRL Limitless, as Limitless is threatening to drop out of the DRS of Kyle Mitchell. So there's an opportunity perhaps developing here for OMGH Joe in that Mercedes, who so far this season hasn't been spectacular up to the heady heights that he made so much progress on F1 2018, started winning races, but so far it's been an average start, 4th last time out and currently 5th here in the second race, and he'll want to keep an eye on his teammate who's already running away here after winning the last time out, so he can't afford to drop too many points, and he's right up behind Limitless. Is he going to have a look down towards turn 1? Not quite. Limitless kept that DRS of the car in front, and it kind of equalised things a little bit. So OMG, it's Joe, stays in P5 at the moment. Let's keep an eye on that battle behind, which is continuing to develop, continuing to simmer, but there's no big changes as Zelchi and Reynolds appear to be fighting further down the field. What's going on there? I think we've just missed it. Zelchi moving ahead of Reynolds, James.
Yeah, and one of the Hasses all over the back of him as well. Now that's Baztek trying to go around the outside at turn 4. Can't quite get the move done in the Hass on this occasion. He's got to watch out for Brown behind them as well, because the Williams just sitting and waiting for his opportunity here to get himself closer to the points. At the moment, Jason's leading that train, or you could call it a train, I suppose. And he had a good result last time out, I'm pretty sure, in Australia. Finished 6th or 7th, I believe. So a really good effort from Jason. And we'll be wanting to see a bit more of that from the Red Bull over the coming year.
Yeah, I really love this. We're lap 5 of the race, and there's just so evenly matched, this field. It's great. There's so many big trains of cars all around the racetrack. There's always something on the track to watch, and that's what I love to see. As I keep an eye on Bastic right in the middle of that scrap from 10th place or 11th place all the way down to the back of the field of P18. They're all within a second of each other. They're all in that DRS territory, and it's great to see. It really is. And you know, we've got that battle between 6th and 10th, 6th and 9th. We've got the battle between 10th to 18th, and it's great to see. As Cena, James, appears to have broken into the DRS. Look at that. Go on,
great
Alpha.
Stuff. He might get it here, but you
strong.
also got to watch out for Limitless and Joe behind as well, because they're really closing in on Carl Mitchell, who seems now to be the slowest car in this 3. And Limitless has got a chance on the outside of the switchback almost to get a run up the hill towards turn 4.
Yeah, a little bit onto the curb there for Kyle Mitchell, and Limitless senses an opportunity. He's going down the inside, and he eases through on Kyle Mitchell, who's in a bad lap or so. We didn't see what happened to him to drop into the clutches of Limitless, but certainly his exit out of turn 3 did not help, and Limitless is now up to P3, and now Kyle Mitchell's under threat from Joe. Joe now switching to the outside. Wonderful shot from the helicopter cam. Slight contact between them. Joe, though, with the extra traction and grip, has now got the inside line and snatches P4 away. Kyle Mitchell started in the front row. A poor start, seeing him drop to 3rd, and now on lap 6 he drops behind Limitless and Joe to be relegated down to P5. Sore one for him to take, but good progress for Limitless and Joe.
Absolutely, and there's a bit of argy-bargy between them into the hairpin there, between Carl Mitchell and Joe. Maybe getting his own back. Probably shouldn't do it in the race, but he seemingly was. Getting his own back there on the Mercedes of Joe, who did have a slight tap in towards the first corner of the opening lap of the Grand Prix, but Joe's got to stick now with Sarah Limitless, who is 2 seconds behind just Sarah, isn't it now, as Sarah second place. He's 1.3 seconds behind Surprise. He's just pumped in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 38.9, was that a 30.9? My apologies, not a 38.9. I was well off the pace. Yeah, he is starting to flex his muscles again, the Welshman, and pulling a lead out on the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe a little bit of an error on that particular lap. Invited the likes of Cena to have a little bit of hope, but it wasn't to be. And Cena has now got to redouble his efforts to get back within that DRS territory. But he might try an undercut or something like that, James, later on in the race, because he's certainly at 1.2 seconds within range to try something like that. So it's going to be one to watch, certainly by no means over. So keep an eye, folks, on Cena. He's got every opportunity as I go on board with WOR Verstappen, who's still behind CRL Rosberg, but the whole group is actually bringing themselves into touch with Kyle Mitchell and Joe and Limitless, and it's all closing up very nicely, isn't it? Very nearly, all within a second of each other. Rosberg just about within a second, can't quite manage it yet, but they're all coming to that group, and it's great to see. He's so competitive from the battle for 3rd all the way down the order to about 9th place.
Yeah, I always call this part of the race almost the cycling race, if you will, and it's this case for Rosberg, because often what you see in cycling, if you don't watch it, I don't really particularly, but I understand it, is there's a lot of groups of bikes, in this case cars, that always stick together behind a pacemaker, and the pacemaker on this occasion is Sarah Rosberg, and he's arrowing that sort of group in towards another group in the form of Carl Mitchell, Joe and Limitless. So we'll watch out for that, because that gap is really starting to come down between all those guys. Limitless and Joe, those are the ones to watch. They're for 3rd place on the road, and Joe just sitting away from the racing point for now. He'll get his opportunity, and it may be into turn 4 here.
Yeah, I have to agree. That is the perfect way to put it. It really is, James. the peloton, they call it, in the cycling, isn't it? The peloton.
Yeah.
And we didn't used to see that in league racing so much before the days of DRS, but certainly since ERS management came into things and DRS, the last couple of years we see it a lot more now. And you know, it is a little bit artificial. A lot of the drivers don't like it. I personally don't love it, but you know, it does sometimes give us some exciting battles, and that's exactly what we're getting here. And yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it, like a peloton. And Joe Rosberg trying to use up his energy, trying to use that tow with the cars behind to just drag them all onto the tail of Kyle Mitchell. And it's slowly beginning to work, and that two groups is now slowly about to become one. As I think in the background there, one of the Red Bulls, Zelchi, I think, getting rather close with Reynolds. And yeah, Reynolds really close, threatening to make a move for P12.
Absolutely, he's quite close up behind Zelchi. Jason's just stripped out the points there, so the two Red Bulls looking back towards the guys further back. They want to be looking at those points-paying positions, those two Red Bulls. Hopefully they can find themselves in good stead. But Fighty Ted into the top 10, now in the other Renault, and it's all starting to kick off between Red Bull and Renault, ironically, for the points-paying positions.
Yeah, well, I wonder what Cyril and Red Bull will say about that. Cyril and Horner will do about that one. But here comes Reynolds, right up behind Zelchi. He's 2/10 behind. He's going to get a huge slipstream here, even with Zelchi having the DRS in the car in front, and he's going to breeze past him and up into 12th place. A rare happy moment for Renault against Red Bull, and it's a lovely move. P12 he moves up to. Next up, the other Red Bull, Jason. So quite a cluster of Red Bulls and Renaults between 10th and 13th place. Good to see. And through he goes, makes a simple move. Textbook stuff really, wasn't it, James? And up into P12.
Yep, absolutely. Just what you'd like to see, really. And Reynolds pushing on once again after qualifying that maybe he's not gone his way, but we know this man's got the pace, and when he has the pace, he really does unleash it in abundance. And on these sort of alternate races, there's races where you start on the harder sort of tyre, the medium, as opposed to the soft. He always seems to be good in these sorts of races, I feel, because there was always a time on F1 2018 where he would completely rope out the rule book, really. Everyone else would start on softs, he'd go on the hardest compound, and at the end of the race, he'd be so fast, he'd find himself in some really good points-paying positions. Let's not forget, Reynolds actually started second in one Grand Prix, obviously back in Baku, with Jork on pole position. I'm sure they'll be loving that honourable shout out there, but that was a brilliant day in ILR League racing.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. Probably the most incredible moment we've ever had, actually, in terms of ridiculous and jumbled up grids. Don't forget, folks, Jork unfortunately now is in the second tier. That just shows you how incredible it was to have those guys in the front row in a field like this. So yeah, absolutely incredible. But yeah, those days are gone. Who knows, maybe we will revisit them again in another wet day in Baku in a couple of rounds time. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, Reynolds is going to have to settle for P12 at the moment and try and scrap for the minor points. We'll wait and see, as OMG It's Joe now is tucked right up behind TRL Limitless, 3/10 back, and could be threatening a move rather soon, couldn't he?
Absolutely, and also Rosberg's managed to get himself a DRS of Kyle Mitchell, so those two groups are now one, as a famous pop group once sung. Anyway, Joe is starting to close right up again as a sale limitless. The pit stop window is coming up pretty quickly. I would feel within the next few laps or so. And the big pointer that a lot of people have noticed on this game, that undercut is massive. Limitless goes deep then into turn 10. He's got to watch his back there then into turn 11.
Yeah, absolutely. A big mistake there from Limitless, locking up those tyres and maybe not feeling too confident on those medium compound tyres. We are expecting pit stops pretty soon. Will he be one of the first ones in? He usually tends to be one that goes a little bit longer, TRL Limitless. Will that be different today, as OMG It's Joe is now climbing all over the back of that racing point at the top of the hill as they go down the back straight. Plenty of battery available as Kyle Mitchell picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings on lap 10 out of 29. Round the final corner they go. Anyone thinking about a pit stop this early? No sign of it. People on our bridge just come in. Yes, Limitless is coming in. There you go. So as we thought, it looked like he was struggling, and a rare occasion where Limitless makes the early call and comes into the pits. So he's followed in by WOR Verstappen and who else? João Pedro. Jason's coming in as well. Bastek. This has triggered several cars to come into the pits. Will Limitless be held in his box? He will briefly, as João Pedro makes his way in. So a slight hold for Limitless, but he is going to trigger several pit stops at the top end of the field.
Absolutely.
Go into clean air, James.
Yeah, that could be crucial for them as well. But watch Rosberg, because he's all over the back then of the McLaren of Kyle Mitchell. The Canadian's really struggling now because Rosberg all over him. and the racing point, the other racing point, and he'll be wanting to push his way through, maybe on that sort of way, but Rosberg's found a way through, maybe push Jason off the track momentarily. He's got a puncture on his right rear, it looks like.
Oh, has he got a puncture? It looks like he does, yes. Kyle Mitchell, punctured on the right rear. Was it a result of contact, or was it just wear? I'm not too sure. But Kyle Mitchell has got a puncture, and the man that started on the front row, his race has gone wrong, and he's losing it. He's losing it. Oh, goodness me, there. Oh, just about avoids Feisty Ted and EVR Reynolds, the two Reynolds. But wow, I've yet to see anyone with a puncture on this game. But boy, oh boy, it looks like a handful. He's gone off again. And into the wall.
I don't remember the last time I saw someone with a puncture, to be honest, in a league race. That's so unusual. You don't often see that. Veloce surprised to race leader pits. Sarah follows him in as well. Will any of this get held in a stop because of the likes of anyone behind them who may decide to pit? Rosberg and Joe both stay out. So they're looking to go that little bit longer. And Sarah, as he jumped, I thought he may have jumped surprised there. I was totally wrong. I'm just getting a bit too brief for myself. But let's see how much of a margin then that Limitless has made because of that. Doesn't look like it's going to be an awful lot.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I think Limitless was slightly held by Sarah's teammate coming into the pits. So I don't think he's going to gain much time. They certainly, the two race leaders before they pitted. Hold on a minute. What's that? As Mercer, he's ahead of that. Yep, okay. He's still behind Sarah, still behind Surprise as we expected. He's actually to the tune of 5 seconds behind Sarah, so that's quite a distance. That's actually further than what it was previously. So Limitless at the moment is fighting for a podium with OMG, it's Joe and the likes, and maybe CRL, Rosberg and Mercer, it looks like at the moment. Simply at the moment not got the pace to fight with the top two in this Grand Prix.
Maybe bear that in mind. If that's the case, if Limitless has lost all that sort of time, maybe it could have been just because he's been held in the pit stop. But if it was just, let's say he wasn't, and actually the guys in the best position here are the guys who are going to be later to make their pit stop. If that's the case, then Joe and Rosberg might gain something from this. They may not, but they might. They might just. I'm going to keep my optimism up here. These two I would expect to come in within probably this lap.
Yeah, either a lap or two. We'll keep an eye on it. Veloci Surprise has got 5.4 seconds of clean air in front of him. Sierra's 1.4 back. Limitless has also got 5.4 seconds of clean air. And is he coming in? Yep, Joe is in. Let's keep an eye on him. So down at the pit lane comes OMG, it's Joe. Rosberg carries on. He always likes to go long. Remember, CRL Rosberg did start this race on fresh compound of tyres as Joe's car leaves the pits. Actually, if you were watching on the stream there, folks, it looked like it was a repeat of Germany there. As his car arrived in the box, the team wasn't ready, but it appears that all was well from Joe's end, and he makes his way back out onto the racetrack. Where's he going to be? He's going to be close with Limitless, I would think. Limitless coming down the straight. Oh, that is very close, going down towards turn 1. Who's ahead? Side by side into the first corner. Limitless just with the skin of his teeth is ahead, and that means he will be net P3. Joe will be P4. Mercer 5th with Verstappen in 6th, unless Rosberg can get himself in between them all when he makes his stop. Remember, fresher tyres for Rosberg because he started the race on a new set, so he should be able to go 1 or 2 laps longer.
Absolutely, it'll be interesting to see just where he does come out. You're absolutely right. He could be well within that scrap. He may even be ahead of Limitless and Joe. Who knows? It just depends on how big the squabble is. Morso's made a couple of positions, I think, up there. As you say, I think he's moved. That would be a net 5th place at the moment. Verstappen, as you say, though, still holding his own up there in what is a technically P6 for him, and been holding off João Pedro for a number of laps now in the Williams. But he's got the nice luxury of having DRS of the car in front, so he won't be too disheartened with that. And lovely to see him up there racing for points in the Williams.
Absolutely, and you know, he's going to be right in the scrap here when Rosberg pits. So where's Rosberg going to come out? He's come into the pits right now in that racing point. So where's this going to funnel him back out onto the track? Once again, it appears the mechanics aren't ready, but I'm sure they are on his screen. A lot of surprise, 1:30.5, brand new fastest lap of the race, really starting to strengthen his advantage as Rosberg makes his way onto the track. Where's he going to be in relation to everyone else? Surely he's going to be down towards the tail end of the group, given he's pitted late. Let's see where he is. He's going to be very close with Verstappen, very close with Mercer, so he's just about going to slot into that gap. Verstappen side by side, but he's going to get squeezed out on the outside. We said it would be close. It was close, and Rosberg just about gets himself out ahead of Verstappen and João Pedro, but look how close that group is on pace. Wow, Limitless, Joe, Mercer, Rosberg, Verstappen and João Pedro all so closely matched as they all scrap over what will be a final podium spot. Wow, looking forward to this, James.
This could be fireworks in Bahrain. It would be great because we'll be able to see them as well. Joe and Limitless, as you say, they are the leading two in this pack. But yes, as I say, everyone could be sensing a podium opportunity here. Even João Pedro at the back end of this field. Anything can happen. Oh, João Pedro is round. Yes, no, he's managed to hold it. What a drift from João Pedro, and Verstappen looked like he was going to make a move on Rosberg there, but João Pedro nearly spun his Alfa Romeo right around down at turn 10, held it all together, and thankfully so.
Just about, I actually missed that one, I've just caught up with it now, but João Pedro, P9 at the moment, and hopefully that hasn't damaged his tyres and overheated them too much to continue in the battle. We'll keep an eye on it. He has now got work to do to get back onto the tail of the group, but given how closely matched they are and how they're all squabbling, I would think he should, without too much problem, get onto the tail of it. A surprise again, pumps in a new fastest lap, a 1:30.5 once again, and Sira doesn't have an answer at the moment. He's 1.8 behind, and I just don't think he's got the pace to challenge Veloci's Surprise today, does he, James?
Absolutely not on this occasion. 2 seconds, he seems to have lost out on the transition from soft to mediums, from mediums to hards, and he's really sort of struggling to keep up with him at the moment. Verstappen gets himself a penalty, and Joe weaving to try and get past Tiro Limitless into the final podium spot. He's gone deep, and here comes Morse on the inside then. The Northern Irishman may get snatched the position away from the Mercedes. Not on this occasion. Morse slots in behind, stays where he was in a net fifth place.
Yeah, the man from Northern Ireland looks like he fancies a rare podium this afternoon here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. He's had a few to his name in ILR, and he wants to get another one. Unfortunately, he won't be tasting any champagne. It'll be rosewater if he gets up there. To be honest, I don't think he'll care, because he senses a great opportunity to get in amongst the podium places. So Pimona Brown picked up, you could kind of say a surprise podium last week. Can Murso be the man to get one today? It just shows you how tight the field is this season. They're so evenly matched, and it allows people that usually wouldn't be competing for the podium to have every opportunity. They're so tight in behind the likes of Surprise, and it's great to see as they make their way down this back straight. There you go, that's it for your own eyes, folks. That is the train of cars squabbling over one podium spot, for goodness sake. That's what we love to see, isn't it? But Limitless just about holding on for now. And with Joe having that slide, he's got a little bit of breathing space. As Sira responds to me saying he doesn't have the pace, well, how about that? 1:30.4. He cuts the gap down ever so slightly. So he's finding pace, he's finding time, and can he come back as surprise later on in the race? Has he got something up his sleeve, James? That's the question. Has Joe got anything up his sleeve? Has Murso got anything up his sleeve in this battle for the final podium spot? Every possibility, it could go to anyone in this group. Who are you saying at the moment, James? Who are you guys in the comments fancying for this final podium spot? Let us know.
I'm really not too sure, to be honest. It's so close. As you say, at the moment, Limitless just seems to have that edge at the moment coming off of corners. He doesn't seem to have those much wheel spin thus far, meaning that he's actually just holding that position quite nicely in third place, technically speaking. And Joe's just been a little bit rash, I could say, on the brake pedal today, just seemingly going a bit too late here, there, and maybe even everywhere in the Mercedes. I'm sure he won't like me for saying that, but it's true. I've seen him a number of occasions locking his wheels. Joe can't quite get the move done into turn 11 on this occasion. He is a fighter, we know, Joe, and I love the idea of the aggression and him going for it here on Tiro Limitless. There's two of the best racers on this game going for it in Bahrain for the final podium spot. What a brilliant opportunity this is, folks, for one of these guys to really announce themselves in this league.
Yeah, well, it has to be said. I mean, one mistake from these two, and there's a train of cars ready behind and waiting to snatch the points away, and quite a hefty amount of points as well. But here comes, OMG, it's Joe. He's got a fantastic run. Limitless senses a bit of trouble here. He defends to the inside. Has Joe got the overspeed to go right round the outside behind that? Rosberg's having a look. I think he's through. Limitless is holding firm and is still ahead as Murso squeezes up against the curve there. Sierra Rosberg, look at this, side by side for both places. Oh, big switch back from Limitless, and he's going to do it. Joe and Limitless still side by side. Two big battles on the racetrack. I don't know which one to watch. It's Joe versus Limitless. Limitless stays ahead. A remarkable battling between those two. Still the duel behind that Murso and Rosberg.
Joe's got the switch back.
No inch. Wow,
look, he got the outside into turn 10. Back.
Here he goes, round the outside. Can he make it work? Surely he's going to get squeezed out there. Limitless on the inside. He'll squeeze him out onto the curb. And still ahead is TRL Limitless. I didn't know which one to watch there. But Rosberg in the background has got himself ahead of Merceau as well. Two incredible scraps going on at once. Goodness me, apologies folks. I just didn't know where to look. But it looks like Limitless has held on, but Rosberg's made a big move. And I was asking you who I felt would get the podium. I'm going to go and say Rosberg. I think he can do it again, James, just like he did last season. Come from 11th and get it on the podium. I think he can do it. I think he's got the tyres, and I think he's got the pace.
Doesn't look like at this stage his teammate in the other Racing Point is helping him out massively here. So we'll sort of keep this train as it was, because Rosberg has got some great pace. He's on the back of Joe as well now. Just under 4/10 of a second. And Joe's going for it again into turn one on TRL Limitless. It's going to go to the outside. This occasion, surely he's going to get it stopped in time. That's the most crucial thing. He's got too deep on the brakes, and Limitless stays ahead of the Mercedes. And Rosberg's got a really good opportunity to get the switch back and to go alongside him up towards turn four. The Mercedes is under pressure then from the other Racing Point. Going to get alongside and pass him. Rosberg so low on the brakes, and has he got it stopped in time? He has, and he's got ahead of OMG's Joe. What a brilliant move from Cyril Rosberg.
Well, that's what teammates are for, intentional or not. Rosberg makes his way through. Limitless defending hard against Joe. Joe get caught in no man's land, and then the slingshot came from Cyril Rosberg, exiting turn 3, got the run, and passed OMG's Joe. We've now got a Racing Point in 3rd, and a Racing Point in 4th, and I have to say, I can't see past Cyril Rosberg getting onto the podium. I really believe he can, and picking up a Driver of the Day award with it, surely. But Joe isn't giving up yet. He's got another run on Rosberg. Can't quite get close enough at the end of that short straight. And it's now Racing Point 3rd, Racing Point 4th. They have a firm grip on this podium spot at the moment, with the rest following in their wake. Wow, what a race for the podium.
It's a titanic scrap, isn't it? It's brilliant. I love this. This is why we wanted to come back and do a bit more commentary for this, because it's brilliant. And when you see it, it is absolutely epic to see. And Joe is still really hassling the back of the Racing Points plural now, because Rosberg has been on a charge on his more fresh, you've got to remember, he's more fresh, harder tyres.
Limitless is trouble here. Limitless is in big trouble here. I can see it. Look at this. Rosberg's got a fantastic run on his teammate. The Racing Points going dueling. The Pink Panthers into the braking zone. Rosberg going right round the outside of his teammate, and he squeezes him Limitless, but he can only squeeze him so much. But Joe now has a fantastic run to get in amongst it. He's going to go straight past Cyril Rosberg and now try on Limitless. Rosberg right round the outside of the pair of them he goes. He's going to get squeezed again though, out onto the curb. The Racing Points dueling like crazy here in Bahrain, but Rosberg's done it from P11 on the grid. He's scythed his way through the field and moves up into 3rd place. Driver of the Day without a shadow of a doubt. Joe once again left frustrated as Limitless has squeezed him out onto the curb, and he drops back to 5th once again. He'll have to redouble his efforts once again. Brilliant stuff.
They're all still squabbling behind though. Morso's not out of this, nor is Verstappen. Verstappen's got a great run on Morso, who's trying to squeeze him off the road in towards turn 11. Can't quite do it on this occasion. Verstappen, you've got to watch the behind. João Pedro's made up great ground from his near spin earlier on in the race, but it's fantastic stuff between all these guys for the final podium spot, and they want it so badly. They're now 11.5 seconds away from the race lead.
Yeah, they do want it so badly, but I've got a funny feeling Rosberg's going to disappear off into the distance. I think he's got some great pace. He's seen it now. Pumps in another fastest lap, 130.2, 1.7 off the lead. That isn't over yet. It's going to take something special, but he's within range of catching Velocity's prize, that's for sure. All sorts of battles going on down the start-finish straight once again. Limitless again attacking his teammate. Is he going to have a look into turn 1? That's a long way back if he does. Thinks better of it. They stay as they were. Oh, look at that. Merceau and Verstappen battling side by side.
That's a brilliant move.
That's a fantastic move from Verstappen. Late on the brakes, round the outside and through he goes. It ain't over yet though. And now João Pedro, who was almost facing the wrong way a few minutes ago, is going round the outside. Can he find a way through? No, he can't, and he stays behind Merceau for now. Wow, this is crazy. Feisty Ted, he's on fresher tyres than the lot of them. And he might fancy his chances of getting onto the tail of this. They're all scrapping like crazy, James.
It's crazy. I think he was actually about 5 seconds behind this group once they come out the pit, so he was a long, long way back. It's now 3 seconds. If they continue squabbling, Feisty Ted could be in a great chance of some great points for the Renault team down there in 9th place. Jam Pancakes, and for Haas actually, Jam Pancakes is looking like he may just pass his teammate here until it's top bad state. They were very close in qualifying. They may be just as close in the race. This battle for the final podium spot is still not over. It's still raging on, and Joe is really starting to hassle and harry the Racing Points again.
There is 9 laps to go, by the way, but Jam Pancakes, don't rule him out from getting into this squabble. He is on the medium tyre. He's just pitted a few laps ago. Surprise response to Sierra's quickest lap. If he can displace his teammate now and get up the road and chasing after Ted and João Pedro, there's every opportunity here. There could be a lot of points at stake for Jam Pancakes. So do not forget him, folks. They're so busy squabbling with each other for 3rd place downwards. Jam Pancakes can get into the scrap. I'm not saying he'll get on the podium, but he could certainly get into that scrap, couldn't he?
Absolutely, and it's a really, really good effort from Jam Pancakes. I'd like to see him. He may be able to get past his team, and I'm sure if they had a bit of leeway here, the Haas team, they would think maybe to swap these guys around, because the pace advantage of one of their cars at the moment is Jam Pancakes. They've got to allow, they've got to realise that. They've got to realise he's much faster at this stage. It's all points, okay, but this is league racing, of course, and a lot of these guys don't do it for the team, they do it simply for the driver themselves.
Yeah, exactly. If this was a team sport, if this was the F1 Esports series, I think Gunther Steiner would have the bleep machine out. Get out of the bleeping way, Bastek, because there's a chance for Jam Pancakes to get right into the points, because they're squabbling so hard up in front, but at the moment the move isn't coming, and this isn't a team sport in ILR. They're all racing for themselves. Yes, there's constructors points, but primarily they're racing for themselves, and yeah, there's no way Bastek's going to jump out the way of the final points paying position, is he? Exactly, no chance. So let's keep an eye on the squabble up ahead. Yeah, Limitless very wide there, wasn't he? Joe right behind him, James.
Yeah, he's got a real opportunity again, the Mercedes bends, and he's going to be looking maybe, I think, towards turn 1 as his best opportunity to make a move. You would feel very low on the brakes. He has been so much in this race, and so many of these guys have as well. Let's see what he can do on the run down to turn 1.
Yep, here comes OMG, it's Joe. I think Limitless has thankfully got the DRS of the car in front, so I don't think Joe will be able to challenge as much as he would maybe like into that first corner, and he can't. And it's still Rosberg 3rd, Limitless 4th, and unsurprisingly actually, I was actually slightly surprised at first, but now I'm not really surprised. Rosberg unable to pull away because the DRS is so OP. 3 DRS zones, it's almost impossible to break that DRS zone, and that's why Veloci Surprise would have been so happy at the start of this race when he saw his rivals behind him having a little bit of a squabble into turn 1. He virtually found that second in 2 corners, didn't he?
Absolutely, but this sort of point in the race, for Sarah and Surprise, they're just walking away. They're such a great couple of drivers, these two, and Sarah I will not rule out for this championship at all. He's got a massive opportunity here with these early races to really make some ground up on the likes of Joe and Limitless, and maybe Rosberg will get in that fray as well, we don't know, but the pace on those racing points is frightening, and I'm sure they will hassle and harry for race wins this season.
Absolutely, the racing point is looking very, very strong. I can't believe Rosberg's pacing the race. You mentioned earlier about him coming through from where he did last time. I thought, yeah, there's no way he's doing it again. Well, he is. Even in a field this competitive, Rosberg has just been magnificent this afternoon, and he, for me, has been the driver of the day, right up there with the top 2, Surprise and Sierra. But you know, just for the the flamboyant nature of his overtakes, the way he's been flying through the field, I just have to give it to Rosberg. He's kept me on the edge of the seat, so entertaining. He isn't home and dry yet, tasting the rose water on the podium, but he could be soon. 6.5 laps to go as Joe has a little look at Limitless in the turn 1. He's not quite close enough, nibbling in his heels, but he can't quite get within range. Quick update, Jam Pancakes is now ahead of Bastek and into the points, but it's about 6.5 seconds to get onto the tail of this group. I think it might be too much. They should have let him through earlier down at Haas, and that's a bit of a shame for him, because there was a lot of points on offer, but you know, it's not going to be for Jam Pancakes, I don't think, but we'll keep an eye on it just in case. But at the moment, it's still Surprise leading by 1.8 seconds to Sierra, who have been trading fastest laps all afternoon, then Rosberg, then Limitless, then Joe, then Verstappen, Murso, João Pedro, all in a big line.
Well, the one thing that we're not really picking up on, and it's a true fact for this season as well, is actually the fastest lap of the Grand Prix will get, if they're in the top 10, the fastest lap point as well. So there's an added point, obviously, for the fastest lap this season, and Sierra at the moment is on the way to getting that extra point, 19 points as opposed to his 18 points for usually finishing second. But Limitless is dropping off now. Sierra Rosberg, it's now nearly a second between them.
Oh Jesus, Joe tried one up the inside there of TRL Limitless, going up into the end of that sector. Didn't quite work out. Oh, there you go, there's the point switching hands again. into the hands of Veloci Surprise as Joe tried an almighty lunge up the inside of Limitless. It kind of frightened Limitless a little bit, and it now, as a result, has managed to break that DRS to Rosberg ahead. So Limitless could be a sitting duck here, going down towards turn 1. Joe's right behind him. Limitless needs to get defending. Oh, look at that for a switch. Joe tried to switch right to the inside. Limitless had it covered. He now tries down the outside. He's going to have the line. He's got the speed. He's got the traction. He's got the place. OMG is Joe. Really aggressive. Gets
looking for
that done.
Stappen.
And he ain't out the woods yet. He ain't out the woods yet. Limitless going back round the outside. That would be monumental. He's done it. Right round the outside he goes. Joe looked like he had it done. Not quite. Limitless dives back through and takes P4 again. And the Racing Point team loved that. And Joe once again has been left frustrated by a pair of Pink Panthers. Brilliant determination from Limitless to fight back.
Watch
After initially a great move from Joe.
Oh, Verstappen was all on the outside of the Mercedes into the braking zone of turn 10 there. Couldn't quite get the move done. He may not be out of this for a great result. P4 is well within his grasp there. He could definitely do it. I think he's got a penalty for Verstappen. But nonetheless, it's a terrific drive from him. And I'm not going to take that away from him just yet. Joe and Limitless, though, so hard racing. I love it between these two. Just the aggressiveness between them is brilliant.
Yeah, I just love how tight they are. Like last season, would you see OMG's Joe scrapping with Verstappen more so? No, you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. It's great. It's brilliant. It's just so good to see so many cars so close together on pace. And it's what we love to see. Verstappen, he said he was confident in his tweet before the race on race pace and in qualifying pace. It's proven correct as Joe is coming back for round 2. He's going to try and squeeze down that gap. Limitless covers to the pit wall. Joe now goes down the outside. The overspeed looks pretty strong. I think he's got this one done. Limitless still trying to defend. He can't defend no more, and Joe is through. But as we've seen on the lap previous, he was able to fight back. He's a little bit further back this time, but can he fight back again? Joe's going to try and squeeze him to the outside early. And it works for him, and finally he's fended off TRL Limitless and is up into 4th place. For how much longer will it stay that way? Surely to the end of the race. He's now up, he's got the pace and he's got the place, and he's got the tyre life on TRL Limitless. He takes P4, but I don't think he'll be catching Rosberg. The gap's now 2 seconds with 4 laps to go, and that is a tall order, especially when Rosberg is on 1 lap fresher tyres.
Just the squabbles, really, have been the factor for people being able to pull away in this race. If you're fighting with another car so frantically behind, the car in front, who's in this case Rosberg, is just pulling away. It's the same with the top 2. That's the exact way that they managed to pull the lead they have as well, just because of the number of squabbles we've seen down the field today. And it's been brilliant, and I've loved it. I think that's not for the win, of course. That's obviously the main key here. But nonetheless, what a terrific Grand Prix we've had here in Bahrain so far.
Look at Joe really trying to defend from Limitless. He's weaving left and right across the track. I wonder if the stewards will have something to say about that. Pretty aggressive weaving, trying to break the toe, and he's doing it again, right out towards the pit wall, not giving Limitless any opportunity. He's made his move right out to the right hand side of the track. Will he come back to the racing line? Look at the run that Limitless has got here. He's going to go right down the outside. Is he going to try and make that work? He's going to have to cut back to the inside. Joe covers the apex beautifully, kills Limitless's momentum, and he's unable to get that run up the hill. He's still got the DRS, it's still so powerful, but I don't think he's close enough. And Joe covering that apex was a masterstroke of defending, and he holds his position in P4. But Limitless, he's got so much straight line speed in that Racing Point, you just can't count him out.
Absolutely, you never count him out. TRL Limitless, he's always there to make an opportunity out of nothing. And there's 2 leaders still, 1.6 seconds between them. Nothing really changing there. But the one thing I'm a bit sort of quizzitive, I suppose now. I'm a bit quizzitive because we've seen a puncture in this Grand Prix, and although it was on the medium tyres, I'm a bit worried that we might find a similar phase maybe on these hards. I'm not going to say anything, but let's just keep the drama coming, I suppose. Punctures are a thing in this game apparently, and we may see one with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, especially the way these guys have been fighting, and the top 2, squabbling for fastest lap so frantically, but we'll have to keep an eye on it and wait and see. Kyle Mitchell, that was the man that picked up that puncture. That's why you see him on the retired list. He's out of the race alongside P1R Brown and CRGA Zelce. Those 3 on the sidelines. We've still got 15 runners, and it has been a good race here in Bahrain. Plenty of action in the midfield, in the podium scrap, that's for sure. Rosberg's now scampered off and looks to have cemented that 3rd place, and I think it's fair to say we don't even need a driver of the day vote. He has got it wrapped up as Limitless continues to fight with Joe over that 4th position. And Verstappen just waiting in the wings. What a result it would be for him if he could get ahead of them, as we have got a yellow flag because EVR Reynolds has retired from the Grand Prix, and that's a shame for the Renault driver. He is out of the race. So onto the sidelines he goes, as that's now 4 retirements alongside Zelchi, Brown and Kyle Mitchell. So can Verstappen, James, get onto the tail of Limitless and Joe and spring a surprise? What do you think?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I do think he may have an opportunity. João Pedro, I think you were talking about. I couldn't quite catch that.
Sorry, I was catching Verstappen. Do you think he could get involved with Limitless? Verstappen
yes,
get involved
absolutely.
With Limitless?
I think he can get involved with Limitless. I think he's, as I say, he's got terrific pace for Verstappen. If this is something to see for the future, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Verstappen can progress. Because this is really great pace. And a number of occasions last season, we saw him having fantastic qualifying performances and then never delivering in the race. He'd retire, or he'd finish just outside the points, or he'd finish in the points, but not by very much. I want to see him take that next step. I think this may be the season for Verstappen to really prove himself amongst these top guys. He needs to now. He's definitely got the pace, it looks like, in the Williams, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he can progress for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Lap 28 now out of 29 as Limitless tries again to get within range of Joe. They're actually catching Rosberg here. 1.3 the gap down to now. Surely it's too little too late as Joe locks that right front again, braking hard, but reaches the apex. As João Pedro is making a move. He's ahead now of CRG Morso. So a big move there for João Pedro. Morso will be slightly disappointed to have fell out of the lead, that group up ahead, the trio fighting for fourth. You know, I think he would have liked to have been in there with WR Verstappen right to the end, but unfortunately the pace has faded slightly and he's now behind BRL João Pedro, who's in a frustrating afternoon at the tail of that train after a big slide earlier on, but he's now up to 7th place, and that's a big move for João Pedro, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to say though, he also had his opportunity to really get in this scrap and really get his teeth into it and think, well, maybe I could get a podium here. And he's had his opportunity this race. There's been a couple of occasions we've seen that with Morso. Nothing against the guy at all, but I really sort of wish he could have just stuck with him that little bit longer, because I think he could have played a massive, massive role in the outcome of this race and the final podium spot. He's definitely got it more, so he's definitely got it. I'm sure this season he'll get a podium, but not on this occasion, unfortunately for him, and those guys are starting to fall away. For what showed surprise is now just rubbing a bit of salt into the wounds, you could say, on the final or penultimate lap of this race. He set another fastest lap, and he must have done that for the last 3 laps of this Grand Prix. Crazy pace that boy has, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's not involved this year. Oh, okay.
That's a good lap. That's a really good lap.
Okay. Yeah, I take it the DRS.
Oh, Paolo needs to get out of the way.
Oh, sorry about that. Mercer going down the inside of it. João Paulo, he's through. He's through. Back through goes Mercer, back into P7. Very late move there across the track. Sorry, what are you saying? Who needed to get out of the way? Further up the road?
Toro Rosso, who's being lapped here. He's last in the race. He's, I think at the moment, I'm not too sure what's going on. I could see a Toro Rosso in the way.
The ghost, must be a ghost, must be a ghost. He's out of the race.
That's unusual. That could have really spiced things up, but it has. Look, 0.3 of a second between Rosberg and Joe. It's definitely spiced it up. That's nowhere near as close.
Yeah.
It could happen here for Joe. It still could happen.
It could happen. Can he steal that podium? I would suggest there's no real major overtaking opportunity left, so surely it should be okay, but we'll keep an eye on it. Mercer made a lovely move down the inside of João Pedro while the Toro Rosso was getting in the way of these guys, and he has regained that 7th place on the final lap, and he's got an 8/10 cushion, so he should be fine. But we need to go to Veloci Surprise, who's coming round the final corner now. Oh, no, we'll go to that in a minute. Surprise coming across the line. He takes the victory. That's another win for Surprise, as Cena does indeed have a puncture. Brand new fastest lap from Surprise, but Cena is just about going to limp home and just get 2nd place in the end. Here comes Sierra Rosberg by 3/10 over the line. Look how close Limitless is coming up to behind Joe. Not close enough. 600ths. Surprise wins again. What a drive. That is 2 wins in a row. He's looking to regain his ILR crown. Sierra 2nd with a puncture, crawls over the line in 2nd. And CRL Rosberg, without doubt, he is the driver of the day. He picks up 3rd place from coming from 11th. James, you called it. He's done it before and he's done it again. What an effort.
Always seem to deliver, don't I, when I come out with these bold claims, and they often don't work, but on this occasion it has done, and what a brilliant result for Sierra Rosberg, and that is it is a really, really great drive. Some of the moves he's pulling off was just epic. Really was epic. But yeah, another thing I called was there could have been a puncture towards the end of this Grand Prix with 3 laps to go, and there was. It was Sarah, and he got very fortunate. He had such a big lead over that rest of the pack. He could have been squalled up and maybe even finished as low as 8th if he had not have got that sort of gap. So, you know, great again, I suppose, for the side of Sarah, or consider, you know, we'll see what I have to say for themselves on the podium. Andy, take us through the race results.
Yep, hold on, I'm just going to add my XP on. There we go. The Bahrain Grand Prix, round 2 of the ILR Championship and season number 4. The second race on F1 2019. Veloci surprise. He's back again in ILR and he's back on the top step. That's 2 wins in a row now, maximum points and the fastest lap for good measure. He extends his lead in the championship. Can anyone stop him? It's going to be a tall order. Visira now. He tried his best today. Got a puncture towards the end of the race, but just about limped home in second place. The driver of the day, CRL Rosberg, came from 11th, used those fresh tyres to perfection to come home in third. What an effort from the Racing Point driver. OMG's Joe, Titanic fight all race long. He was 4th, with TRL Limitless in 5th. CRG Murso, solid effort to come home in 6th. What a drive from Verstappen. A shame about the 3-second time penalty. He is 7th. Jam Pancakes, there you go. We said he'd get up into the order. He got up to 8th place. Feisty Ted was 9th. And I assume João Pedro either had a penalty, which he did, or maybe a puncture as well, given how far down he's finished. P10 for him. The final point for João Pedro, outside the points. Bastic 11th, Jason 12th, MVP 0 13th. And the non-finishers, João Paulo, EVR Reynolds, CRGT Zelce, Pimona Brown, and the man that got a puncture earlier on, Kyle Mitchell. So that is the results of the Bahrain Grand Prix. What a race it was. So much going on, James, in the middle of the field, particularly for that podium spot. A race to remember, wasn't it?
Absolutely a race to remember. And, well, as we said, definite drive of the day for Rosberg. A great drive, as you said, though, from Jam Pancakes as well. 14th on the grid, made his way up to 8th as well. And he did come into his own at the end there on those medium tyres. So very good drive for himself as well. And for Verstappen. Managing to finish 7th. I think that's a great performance as well from himself, just because of the nature of where he'd been on previous, or last season in particular. To come back with a result like that is a brilliant result. But let's go to the top 3, more specifically to Mr. Surprise, or Josh, as he's probably better known to many more people than that. It looked pretty straightforward, didn't it? Well, I'll say it looked pretty straightforward, as me saying that, but it didn't look like you were under much pressure during that race at all. It seemed, I don't want to say plain sailing, but it looked it.
Yeah, it was a good race. Off the start, I managed to get a good start, and I think Mitchell and Ciro were like side by side or something like that. So into the next few corners, I was able to build up a bit of a gap. I think it was just over a second, and yeah, having that gap at Bahrain is crucial. So as soon as I seen the gap was above 1 second, I was pushing as hard as I can to keep it above 1 second. Made a few mistakes. Allowed Sarah to crawl back in a bit again, but yeah, I got him out again, and then he was just stop with the mistakes. We were pulling away from the rest of the field quite nicely, but still, Sarah, I couldn't drop Sarah. He was around 1.5 like the whole race. So yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing considering the rest of the grid was quite far back. But in terms of Sarah, no, because if I made a mistake, he was back in DRS, and then it's over. He's stuck to me for the whole race.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, we're a newer game now, and everyone's going to be asking a question like this, but I haven't had opportunities to, so I simply will. New sort of challenges you guys have got for this, Josh. Sort of talk us through. Are there any major differences, maybe, you know, big changes to this game that you've already had to focus on?
I wouldn't say. I'd say it's quite similar to 2018. There's not much I can really think of that I've had to change. Maybe ERS at some tracks has got a bit harder to manage. I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed, but that's what it seems like for me. But DRS and Slipstream is still as powerful as 2018, so pretty much the same mentality I had as 2018. Try and pull a second gap in the first few laps, and if I can't, then just save the tyres and just see what happens at the end. That's basically how it is.
Absolutely. Oh, congratulations on win. Another great drive, and don't know how many you've got on ILR now, but it's plenty. Sarah P2 today, and like Josh said, you kept him honest, I think, is the best way of putting it, throughout that race. You were always there, in and around 1.6 seconds, 1.5 seconds. We were always seeing that delta change as the laps went on. What sort of race was it like for you? Was it just sort of frustrating more than anything that you just couldn't quite get into that DRS of the race leader? What was the overall thoughts from that race?
Well, first of all, I just noticed that it was going to be a tough race when I just got into the qualifying, just bottled the first medium lap, so I needed to make another one. So probably that just screwed my strategy, because I struggled with tire wear since 2017 on Bahrain, just suffering with some punctures, and I was afraid today as well, because it wasn't different, the percentage of tire wear per lap in the hard tires. So in the start, just managed to pull away from Kyle Mitchell and just stay with Surprise to open a gap to the backfield to start fighting, and just don't get caught on the pits, and everything just worked well. I mean, Surprise was a class of his own today, so I wasn't able to catch him. I just catch his DRS and start of the end of the first stint, but I just failed the consistency to maintain the gap, so I just got dropped to more than a second gap. And in the end, I was just trying to manage to say, like I can say, stay in the same space as him and just don't get a puncture, which I was afraid as well. And I just backed off in the last 2 laps to trying to make it to the end. Unfortunately, I got a puncture, but fortunately, it was in the penultimate corner, which just allowed me to finish the race in second place, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, overall, you're a good drive, as you say, and I was going to come on to the puncture. We sort of clarified it quite nicely. So in that case, I'll just sort of move on. Is it just yourself who found it very well? Not just yourself, but in terms of tyre wear this game as well, is that something that is more of a prominent factor? I mean, it's not often we actually saw puncture. Rare. It's quite peculiar to see a puncture in a race. It's sort of factor that you guys are going to take more into account now. Is it more difficult to manage your tyres?
I think it's just a term of some tracks specifically, because I felt that the tire wear is just lower in this game compared to 2018. And it's some kind of tracks which is a little hard to manage, just like Mexico, just like even Brazil. Brazil is easier in this game, so in Bahrain it's a little hard as well. So I think it's some kind of tracks which is more difficult to manage the tire wear. But in general, I felt easier to control the tire. But when it just comes up Bahrain, it's just a track in the desert. The tire temperatures is just a little bigger than normal. The track temperatures are big as well, because in the desert, besides in the night. And probably I'm not going to have the same problem to the next round. But today was just a special day for the tire wear, I think I can say that.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on P2 today, and we go to mine and Andy's driver of the day. And Dave, I will say that prior to the race starting and qualifying, I said, yeah, he did come outside the top 10 last time in Bahrain. He did manage to finish on the podium, so thank me later. But P3 today, you had a mega drive and some pretty banzai overtakes, but that's what I love. So just, what was that race like for you? You must be pretty happy with that result.
Yeah, I mean, I just thinking about the race beforehand, I was like, yeah, I've got 2 podiums at Bahrain, and one of them was a win. I was never going to repeat those heroics. So as soon as I saw that I was bumped from P10 to P11, I was like, oh, do you know what? I've actually got a chance here. Because I knew the guys that were ahead of me, I could go out, like, with the better tyres, I was definitely going to be able to be quicker. I just didn't expect the race to be that close between more so Verstappen coming out the pits, Joe and JD. Yeah, watching Joe and JD just go at it, I didn't enjoy that at all, because I was like, oh, if JD's racing like this against Joe, like, I don't think he's going to make it much easier for me. And he didn't. As soon as I got behind him, I was like, is he going to play ball? He defended, I was like, maybe not. But it was fun. Those are the sort of races that, like, I think everyone likes to be a part of or just, like, commentate over. So I think we made your job a bit
easier,
a bit more exciting. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we produced a good bit of action for that one. Yeah, as well at the end, I was just a pansy. I had no pace because I was too busy scrapping myself, thinking I'd get another warning and get a penalty, and my heroics from P11 to P3 would go down the drain. I'm happy with that. So yeah, 100% podium record at Bahrain. So I think I'm gassed.
Yes, something not quite nicely, but really, I mean, well, the other thing I was going to sort of bring up on, I always ask you this question after you finish on the podium, you always tell me the same answer. It's like, well, it seems like a pretty freaky result today. I may get it again, but I don't think I will. So do you think this game will be the game where actually we see you a bit, a bit closer to the top? I don't want to come across like an ass, but maybe just staying and fighting more for podiums this season?
See, I'd love just to say I can, but I've got to just be honest with myself here. I'm not at the pace of Joe, Josh, Sarah. So again, like you said, it's one of them freaky results where it just happens. I'd love to get a couple of more podiums, because especially some races like that, because those are the races that make me want to keep league racing. So hopefully I'll see you boys again, but I'm not going to make any promises.
Yeah, save you the moment whilst you can. You may have a season more like Quattraro, I suppose, but we will see how that one unfolds. Anyway, Andy, again, what a tremendous Grand Prix we've just had, and even from the top three there, it all seemed pretty chill after that one. A couple more so, but even with punctures. I'm looking forward to these next however many races we've got now, 19 races. Next up, China. It's going to be hopefully a really good season.
Yeah, as Brundle always says, it's always nice to have 3 happy people on the podium, and I feel that's what we've got today. Yeah, definitely a good race. I loved the scrap. I absolutely loved the scrap we were treated to from 3rd downwards to about 8th place, and then there was further scraps down behind that. We had a great afternoon, a great evening, I should say, of entertainment. And I think it's going to carry on for the rest of the season, as it always seems to do. But can anyone get on Surprise's level and try and dislodge him from top spots? Sierra was certainly looking strong today. Could he be the man to challenge him? We'll have to wait and see. This is only round 2, but we've got plenty to go. Next up, China, and I always love going to China, James. I like the food, so it should be good.
Yeah, it should be great, shouldn't it? And of course, we saw a win there last season, so who's to say it won't happen again?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, that wraps it up then, doesn't it? That's it. Thanks for joining us, folks, for the second round of the championship. Well done to everyone on the podium, and in particular for lots of Surprise for picking up that victory. Driver of the day was, of course, Sarah Rosberg. But that is it for us today. Time to go to China. Be sure to join us next week for the Chinese Grand Prix, the same time, 7:30 UK time. Goodbye.